age of Jackson extended beyond the years of the actual Jackson administration. The in-depth study that you did of Andrew Jackson was brilliant, quite well done. But his age doesn't end with him. There are two subsequent administrations that can be said to be a part of that same era. Martin Van Buren, Democrat. And then William Henry Harrison, Whig. And John Tyler, a Democrat in Whig's clothing. The Van Buren administration is very interesting. We jump right into it because we know he's president from 1836 until 1840. We know he's a Democrat because we know he's the vice president for Andrew Jackson in the second part of Jackson's administration. Between 1830 and 1836, Marty Van Buren has replaced John C. Calhoun. Peggy Eaton scandal. Van Buren, the career politician, has aced John C. Calhoun out and replaced him as vice president and soon to become president of the United States. Martin Van Buren is a Democrat, very definitely. We have a Democratic Party. The same Democratic Party that we know and love today was created by Andrew Jackson back then in 1832 with National Political Convention, with a kind of stubborn basic belief system in the common man, and with Marty Van Buren as the heir apparent to Andrew Jackson in 1836. What do we know about his personality? Marty Van Buren, 8th president, was the first to be born under the American flag. Bland of face, bald of head, slender of figure. The adroit little New Yorker has been described as a first-class, second-rate man. Get that down. Of course, from the Book of Kennedy. An accomplished strategist and spoilsman. The spoils system is introduced by Jackson. The Wizard of Albany, he came from New York. He was also a statesman of wide experience in both legislative and administrative life. In intelligence, education, and training, he was above the average of the presidents since Jackson. The myth of his complete mediocrity sprouted from a series of misfortunes over which he had little control. So if you get this man, he was a career politician. He had worked himself up from the ground in New York and had become a master politician, as we see with the Peggy Eaton scandal in Jackson's administration. Unfortunately, he takes over and he's hit by the Panic of 1837. Now, I was hesitating there because policy is going to be what comes out through his program. And the program is how you deal with the Panic of 1837. Again, all of Jackson's economic policies are coming home to roost in the Panic of 1837. The idea that we have to destroy the Second Bank of the United States leads to that push and pull of money that we saw in the classroom. Okay, you want to come after me, bank? I'm going to take the money out of you and put it in my pet banks. Pet banks. Once we get those pet banks with all that money, they become wildcat, speculation banks, spending so much money out there, giving so much money out there so people can buy land, not to go be a yeoman farmer on it, but rather to speculate that the land value will increase so as to sell it. And that Western speculation, as we saw in 1819, repeats itself in a cyclical boom and bust cycle every 20 years. So in 1837, it is downward spiral for the American economy. What do you do if you're Marty Van Buren and you're President of the United States? You follow the hard money policy of Andrew Jackson. We don't like banks. We don't like money. We don't like rich people giving money to rich people to make more money. So what do? We pull way back. And we make sure the specie circular is in operation. No easy money. You gotta have gold. You gotta have one banknote only in order to buy land out west, and the economy collapses. Then, when you need money, when you want to make money, you need money. What does the federal government do with its revenue? It takes it and it puts it in vaults. These vaults do nothing with the money sits there. And the independent treasury, under the divorce bill, results in the available source of money that could be lent out to stimulate economic activity. What happens to that money? Thank you, Marty Van Buren. Hard money policy. It sits in vaults. So the very nature of a hard money democratic policy of Andrew Jackson, we pay for our bills, we take care of our stuff, destroys Van Buren's administration. Now, is it his fault? No. Is the economic downturn going to happen anyway? Yes. Is Andrew Jackson culpable for that economic downturn? Yes. And the result is Marty Van Buren is seen as a horrible president of the United States. It's really not his fault. And as a result, what are you going to do? Well, we have the 1840 election. The 1840 election, as we saw at the start with the George Caleb Bingham paintings, this is mass politics. And if there is a little side note here under Harrison and Tyler, it's the nature of the election in 1840. Because that 1840 election is the first kind of mass marketed campaign. We sell candidates in that campaign. And the candidate sold is the Whig candidate. Oh, we have a Whig party that is an anti-Jackson party. Again, called the Whigs because in England, the party in opposition to the king is the Whig party. Therefore, we have a party now formed in opposition to Andrew Jackson, King Veto, that will be called the Whigs as well. And what we create is a political party essentially in opposition to Andrew Jackson. Well, the Whigs will win if they do one thing, if they get a general as their candidate. And they nominated a guy named William Henry Harrison. And we've seen him before. He had two major battles against the Shawnees. The Battle of Tippecanoe was the great victory against the Prophet, killing him, Tecumseh's brother. And that battle of Tippecanoe gave William Henry Harrison his fame and allowed him to become a Whig nominee. William Henry Harrison's qualifications to be President of the United States? None. Except he was an Indian killer. And so you have William Henry Harrison, not qualified to be president, the Whig candidate. Of course, you want some Southern Democrats to support him, so you get John Tyler on the ticket, who balances it by bringing in Democrats. The only reason why Tyler's in the party is he hates Andrew Jackson in his native Tennessee. And you get some Southerners coming in to support this ticket. Well, if you look at the nature of the campaign in 1840, it's fascinating. Because the bottom-up, poor guy who makes it good, Marty Van Buren, is characterized by the Whigs as a rich, elite snob. Gambling in the White House, playing pool in the White House, drinking champagne, all the things that were not true about him. And the extraordinarily rich, wealthy, frontier gentleman of William Henry Harrison. No one probably had more money in the state of Kentucky than William Henry Harrison. He's characterized as being a poor guy in the campaign literature. And unfortunately, they make a mistake by talking about, the Democrats do, by talking about hard cider and log cabin. And that's taken by the Whigs brilliantly and used as the motto of a campaign. We're selling a president like a bar of soap. Oh my gosh, Thomas Jefferson will be rolling over in his grave at this point in time because of the nature of this political action. Therefore, what do we have? We have a campaign in which sloganeering, big rallies, lots of fun happen. And if you run for president, you better have a slogan now. And what's the great slogan associated with William Henry Harrison and John Tyler? Tippecanoe and Tyler too. And it has a great ring to it, and it's a great pitch, and it's a great sell, and it wins Harrison and Tyler the 1840 election. All set with that. And Marty Van Buren's done. It's a complete lie. It's a great campaign, and we've changed the nature of American politics based on the age of democracy, based on the Jacksonian democracy, based on this age of Jackson. Well, William Henry Harrison being the kind of guy he was, gave the 4-hour inaugural address in the pouring rain without the top coat. William Henry Harrison, living only for 6 subsequent weeks after March of 1841, dying in the presidency, unfortunately for the Whigs, because the Whigs had gained control of the Senate, gained control of the House, gained control of the presidency due to the economic downturn of 1837 and Marty Van Buren's difficulties. And now they go, we got a pawn in the presidency, we got somebody we can control, we have it all going, we're going to go back and do what we want to do. What do the Whigs want to do? A national bank, a high tariff, and internal improvements. It's the American system, it's Alexander Hamilton. And the Whigs are primed, ready to go with the Harrison administration. Unfortunately, what happens? Harrison dies, and the Democrat in Whig clothing takes over. John Tyler vetoes bill after bill after bill after bill. No national bank, no internal improvements, no increase in tariff, no destruction of the independent treasury. John Tyler vetoes Whig legislation. And what happens for the next 3 years? Nothing in America. He is kicked out of the Whig Party. His entire cabinet resigns, except for Daniel Webster doing foreign policy as Secretary of State. He has protests daily outside the White House where they're screaming and yelling at John Tyler to do proper Whig-type things. Nothing happens between 1840 and 1844. The Whig Party loses their great opportunity to effectuate that conservative policy of a powerful federal government helping rich people out. And what we have is party politics of a new and different type. Thank you, Andrew Jackson. Thank you, Marty Van Buren. Thank you, William Henry Harrison. Remember, Tippecanoe and Tyler too. I'll tell you a story about that when I see you guys next on Monday.